Welcome to ACTPod, a podcast show that sheds light on the stories and impact of the social sector. The show is proudly powered by Aspire Coronation Trust Foundation. Let's begin the change.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm really excited to have you here today. And I think something that I've been trying to do for a few months.
Yes, it's been a while.
And you've been so busy. But I mean, we've captured you now. But in those few months, you've become family again.
Yes,
double family
crazy?
now.
I know.
But today we have you, Mr. Amaechi Okobi,
Hello.
the Chief Communication Officer, Access Bank, but especially Aspire Coronation Trust Foundation Director.
Gang.
We have our director here today, and I'm so excited because the conversation also is important to us in the community and what we do. And you've been working with this sector for a while and doing a lot of things on your own end, but also as a face and the brand of the bank and the Access holding. And so today we have an opportunity to speak with you, to talk about it, and also to learn from you as well. So welcome.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you very much.
So first of all, I'll just ask, tell us a bit about yourself. Nothing dramatic. This is not tell us everything deep and no. But what you feel that we should know, what you've done in the last few years, also your relationship in terms of the space, and why you feel the space also is important.
Okay. So, you know my name. I am a marketing professional, communications professional. But aside from the work and professional aspect, I'm someone that's driven by a desire to change the narrative of Nigeria and Africa. I'm driven by a desire to be kind. I'm driven by a desire to do more and hopefully inspire others to do more, both individually and from a corporate setting. So I'm someone that, aside from being a cyclist, I'm someone that wants to see positive change in Nigeria.
Yeah.
The African narrative is not great.
Yeah.
So individuals need to kind of step up and just do things that lets the world know that good things come out of Nigeria and Africa.
And good things do come out of
They do, absolutely.
Let me ask a question I would not normally ask at the beginning. So with our sector and the non-profits, every time I go into the communities, I see a lot of work. I see people have been doing things for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. Then, we talk about it and it seems as if everything is damning. How can we do better? How can we portray the brand of, first of all, the industry, and then the individual brands, even our own brand? What do we do and how do we do things better?
It's funny you mentioned, I had a very interesting conversation recently with a dear friend that talked about how her organization does so much in the community and feeding the community. And I reacted by saying, but I've never heard of this. Why aren't you telling these stories?
Yeah.
And her response struck me. She says, we're not doing it to be acknowledged or celebrated.
Yeah.
We're doing it to actually feed these people.
Yeah.
And I reacted because as a marketing person, mine is to tell the stories. The
Exactly.
world must know. If I'm feeding 10 people a day,
You must all know.
the world must know. Because we cannot do these things in silence. Now, we're not going to make it obscene when we're shouting or we feed the world. No. But let people know, because by telling people the stories about how you're making change, you're also inspiring others.
True.
And others say, if Access can do this, if Amaechi can do this, maybe I can too.
Yeah.
So I am here to say, I don't agree that you should keep quiet about these things, but obviously you tell these stories with a bit of respect. And I know we're doing a lot, and as you mentioned, we're doing a lot, but these stories must be told. They must be told. If they don't know, the only people you're impacting are the people impacted. But if you want to inspire,
Yeah.
Tell the stories.
Yeah.
If you want to drive action, tell the stories.
And even sometimes the impacted people might not know they're being impacted.
Absolutely. They're just being fed.
Yes, they're just being fed.
Yes.
They don't
Or
understand
educated.
that, or educated. They don't understand that also is a ripple effect for them.
Absolutely.
Because if you are being fed every single day for 5 years, and then you begin to do other things, or you have time, your kids can now go to school.
Yes.
That's where impact comes into play.
Absolutely.
And in what you do, I've seen in the last few years with the hold and everything has, the way as the stories are being told is different. Is it a deliberate effort? And if it is, why are we doing it in this way? And why is impact now so important? I know that impact has been important, but why is it now even more necessary? And why is it even more important than it was maybe 10 years ago?
So Africa, if we can talk about Africa, has been going through tremendous challenges. And when you look at organizations as large as ours and others, the responsibility to create positive, measurable change, it's so key to who we are and organizations. So when you take on that responsibility, it's not a checkbox exercise. It's you're doing it to actually benefit and develop your country and your continent.
Sure.
You're doing it for your children and their children and generations to come after you.
Yeah.
So we're planting that seed. It wasn't as important 10 years ago, definitely, but I think as a people, we've evolved from what I would term a pretty selfish mindset to now it's about how can I do more? You hear all over the world about people planning ways in which to give away their billions.
Yes.
We're here to help you give away your billions, definitely. So the partnerships definitely come in. But people just want to do more. And it's about giving them opportunities and platforms to do that. You'd be amazed what people are giving.
And they are giving.
They really are.
They are giving.
They really are. And doing.
Yes, and doing. And that's why I tell people that the brand called Africa must almost be completely refurbished.
Yes.
Because we are the brand. And it's only when people know that they feel that there's some value that comes with it.
Yes,
if they don't know, they see and they say the stories that it's the same stories over the last few years. And those stories are not great stories, but we have great stories.
We do have great
Access
stories.
Holding is a great story. And the partnerships the corporation has done over the years, even in terms of the conferences, the programs, the people, where we know that there are always challenges in any organization, but have you seen the results of those great stories? Those stories that you've told, even you, Amaechi, personally. I follow all your pages, so I know. But have you seen the results? Do you feel the impacts that it's been done? Yeah.
Nothing gives me more joy when we talk about seeing the results. Nothing gives me more joy than hearing somebody else tell your story or refer to your story or use your story as an example. Somebody told me recently how she was at a wedding and somebody was talking about access and what they do and talked about one of the projects that we had done.
Oh, wow.
And the person that told me, she said they didn't know that she was close to me. But they spoke so freely about what Access is doing. So that's where I think, that's where you win. Where others, and hopefully credible third parties, are referring to you and the work you've done and the impact you're making. Because yes, I can tell the story from my perspective, but it's so much sweeter.
So much sweeter.
When somebody else is doing it.
So much sweeter. And it's really little ripples. Yes. So I know a lot of people want to ask this question. They might not have the opportunity. Let me ask on their behalf.
Hey.
With NGOs, the brand is very, very fragile because you do a lot of work and then one little thing can destroy it.
Absolutely.
And we don't have the big guns to fight and to go out there and over market to say, okay, we're doing better.
Yes.
What do we do as smaller corporations when a challenge has happened, because challenges will come.
Absolutely.
When a negative story has been told, even if you did not know it about it yourself, but you now open social media pages in the morning and they're saying, oh, you did this, you did that, you did that, or somebody died that did not even have anything to do with you.
Yes.
What 3 things can you tell any of them listening out there that say, okay, this is what you should do and how you should do it?
Interesting question. So first of all, negative news sells. It just does. It excites people. People want to see it and all of that.
Compared to
Positive
news.
Yes.
Wow.
When you read the news or when you watch the news, what grabs your attention more? There's a war here. There's bad here. When you see a story about this person or this organization saved countless lives in the rainforest, you kind of gloss through it. So negative just has more power to move. So that's the first thing. We need to nurture relationships with the people that hold the pen, or in this case, the keyboards. And it's not about giving them bribes or any of those things, but it's just engaging them. We must have regular press parleys, and this press parleys talk to traditional and non-traditional media. Bloggers have an incredible amount of power. Somebody on Twitter has incredible power. So engage the press, traditional, non-traditional. Highlight your stories. Because yes, I know that when a negative comes, you cannot spend enough to push out the positives. But when you have those positives, keep pushing them out. Get to a point where if a negative comes in, they will say, but this is company ABC. This thing cannot be real, or it cannot be that serious. Look at all the good they've done.
Yeah.
So there is that. And then collaborations, partner with large companies. So for example, we have ACT Foundation and Access.
Yeah.
Your problems become my problems. So when a negative comes about ACT Foundation, it's a phone call.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing well, I'm doing well. If you're doing badly, I'm doing badly. So that collaboration with bigger guns, as you put it, definitely helps.
I've never looked at it in that regard, in terms of the fact that even if the bigger corporation might not even be giving you financial resources, but you have a partnership with them.
Yes.
And because their name too is part of your brand, if a negative comes in, they will defend you.
Absolutely.
And they have the bigger guns than you do.
We have a vested interest in
Yes.
your succeeding. Okay,
guys, are you listening? I have never looked at it that, maybe because I have, Mr. Okobi sits on my board, but I do understand. And that's where also governance comes into play as well. Yes. Making sure you have the right people on the board that can support you in times of good and in times of bad and stuff like that. So when you look at us as ACT Foundation, Aspire Coronation Trust Foundation.
Say it well.
Yes. And you say, okay, I sit on this board and it's a non-profit. This is what they do. What comes into your mind in terms of what kind of value can I bring to these people? How can I help them to do better? And in so doing, helping the rest of the nucleus, the family of the sector. So what comes to your mind? What gives you peace when you think of us? What makes you feel to yourself that, there are just like some ripples in the water I need to help to balance out?
So the first thing for me that makes this directorship on ACT Foundation so incredible is the fact that your values align with my personal values. If there's a collaboration or partnership or directorship, if your values aren't aligned,
it's a problem.
It's a problem. So that's the first thing. So based on that first box being checked, I'm in a great place. The second thing is, am I able to add value? I do know a little bit about marketing and communication, so I can bring that in. I do know the importance of impact marketing. And with my experience, I'm able to help with that. Being a director in some place where you cannot add value makes no sense. So when you're telling your stories through my personal platform and through my organization's platform, I'm able to project and retell your stories. A very, very simple example is ACT Foundation is a family member of Access Bank and Access Holdings. I have direct access to the management and executive team on Access. So any issues you have, it's a phone call.
Yeah.
How do we meet Roosevelt? How do we meet I? How do we? It's a phone call.
Yeah.
I'm taking you in. We're not making an appointment, and we're going in. So value in those terms for me are the first and simplest thing. But it's more my experience in terms of marketing and communication, my desire to do good, which talks to what you're doing, that makes me able to just say, I can do something here that makes sense.
Yeah. I think, Amaechi, you also just hit on governance for me. And one of the things you said that, always creates an issue with the sector is the fact that a lot of us tend to put people on the boards that don't bring any value. The names,
friends of friends,
cousin of cousin,
rich,
people that might not have time, but we just want their names. Yes. And I mean, realizing now more than ever that those things do not help. It's who brings the value, and what value do they get also from sitting on your board?
Very true.
Because there must be a value. Because if they
Both
feel
ways.
if they feel that it's mutually beneficial, then you find out that they actually do more.
Yes.
And so I'm happy that you mentioned that. What value do you bring, and personally as well. So I'll go to. I want to touch on the personal a bit, because I realize that when it comes to work in the sector, because of the way our sector is, we come with a lot of emotions. Everything is really personal. We go into but sometimes it can be overwhelming, where you feel that you want to solve all the problems in the community, and then you don't have everything to solve it. Even the biggest foundations can't do it.
Yes. Time, resources,
the time,
bandwidth,
the bandwidth, the financial resources, and everything.
Yes. I got that hint.
How do you, and this is a question a lot of times they throw to women, how do you balance it in terms of managing that thinking that this is important, but I'll do it this way. Then I go back to the corporation and I do it this way.
Yes.
And then I as an individual, because we know that after a certain number of years on this earth, there's some things that are more important to you now than was 20 years ago. Yes. So how do you, and what's the advice you give to us to make sure that we bring all these things in and give the best that we can, even in this season in our lives?
For me, you must prioritize, and your priorities shift from when you're a young individual trying to just make ends meet and make a mark, to when you're mid-career, to when you're pretty much at the twilight of your career.
Yeah,
those priorities are always shifting. I was talking to someone yesterday about how your life is a collection of balls: family, religion, friends, career, and all these balls have to stay up in the air as you're juggling. If one drops, the whole thing is crashed. If your family is done, you're done. If your job is done, you're done. So it's prioritizing at the time in which you find yourself, and that prioritizing cannot be emotional. It has to be as scientific as possible. So what is important to you and when? Now, the desire to do more, to be kind, to give, to have an altruistic mindset in life, that is something that kind of overshadows everything. Because you're anything, before you're anything else, you're human.
Yeah.
And to whom much is given, much is expected. So that desire must always be at the forefront, but not at the risk of everything else. If I'm stuck in Makoko trying to feed the children there, and I'm doing this from day to day to day, my family is suffering.
Your children too have not even eaten.
My kids are so it doesn't make sense. So you have to prioritize from a non-emotional standpoint.
So it's very strategic as well, regardless of how you're feeling or how you think is important to you. You have to think through the processes as well.
Yes.
So, Mr. Okobi, what does positive impact mean to you, first of all, and to Access Holding? What does it mean to say, okay, we have impacted lives and we're doing it and we're doing it well?
It's about change. It's about change that is beneficial to the people or the communities that you're impacting this change on. It is about it being measurable. Anybody can make change, but what are you doing over time?
Yeah.
How are you tracking? So for me, positive impact is measurable. It is definitely developmental. And for certain, it has to be told. For me, as a marketing person, sure, facts tell a story. But for me, personally, stories are what sell.
What sells?
Definitely. Because I can describe you as a professional and the things you've done. And it's cold, hard facts you see maybe on a resume. But telling a story about Osayi the person and who she is and what she does and what inspires her makes it a lot more palatable for the person that's hearing that story.
And it's easier to understand and to read.
Much easier.
Yes.
And to resonate
Yes.
and to see yourself in that person's life. So paint a picture. I would describe your lovely green outfit. I would describe your hair. I would describe your relationship with your sons. All these things are stories that people resonate with and engage with and can also tell.
So in marketing, being authentic is also important.
1,000%.
Because they always say, look, as if marketing and branding is almost like a perception.
No. No. Authenticity is where it starts and ends.
That's where it ends.
So for example, I spend quite a bit of time on Instagram as a platform, telling stories about myself, what drives me, my organization. So imagine online, I am this person. Oh, I mean, she's so amazing. And then you meet me in person, and I happen to be
completely different.
Hey,
that's it now. It's over.
We're finished.
Yeah.
So that authenticity, be real, and don't be who you're not, whether as an individual or as a brand.
Yeah.
A brand cannot be everything to everybody. So pick the one that is easiest to sell. And the one that's easiest to sell is the one that is true.
Yeah.
It's like telling lies. When you tell lies, you must remember them.
And you can't remember all of them.
You can't remember all. So just tell the truth, be authentic, so that when anybody sees you from any angle, if somebody wakes you up and says, tell me about Access Holdings, I can say it and mean it.
Yeah.
Tell me about what it means to...
Talk less of just saying mission and vision. You can,
exactly.
But once you know what it is to
must.
you.
Yes.
And so that takes us to the story of us as social entrepreneurs, because we do want to tell the story, but we have to be authentic about it. Yes. We have to, because as you said, it begins and ends with that. And so even when our grants, the powers that be tell us, give us this, give us, you have to realize that impact is more important. The right numbers is what is important, not making it sound as if everything is beautiful. And that's where we've started talking about truth leadership, and even truth relationship and trust relationship, because trust is key.
It's critical.
So if it's not going well, it's not going well, but we can find a way of managing the situation.
And be honest about it.
And be honest about it.
People want to hear bad news as well as good.
Yes.
If everything is rosy and kumbaya all the time,
there's something up.
There's a problem.
There's a problem.
Yes.
And we must know that there's a problem.
Must.
So can you put here, Mr. Okobi? Trust leading from a place of trust, and even working with your partners, people you're collaborating from a place of trust is most important, so that at the end of the day, they know who you are. Completely. And so whenever you come to them and say, this program did not work this way, they understand that you must be saying the truth. And I like it when you say on your page, where you say, this is not the story. So what is the story? I always say, and I just smile and laugh, and I'm like, so what is the story, Mr. Okobi? What is the story?
As part of stress relief and just living,
yes,
journaling helps just keep you sane. And when I tell my stories, I'm really telling stories that are my life.
Yeah.
So I'm writing a journal. I'm writing a diary. But you notice that in addition to writing that journal, when I say, but that's not the story, I usually want to add something that people can take away.
Yeah.
Something that just says either do more or be mindful of Christmas. This is when fraud really starts to happen.
It has already started.
So that's not the story. It's something I want to throw in to give you something to take away that disrupts but doesn't disrupt from the original post.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. I want to inspire, I want to impact, I want people to read what I'm writing and actually learn something.
Yeah.
Now they're very long, so you have to balance before you can read me. And you have to
And people don't have patience anymore. But people do read it.
Apparently so.
Yeah, because I go to places and people say, oh, and like Amaechi said, that's not the story. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness.
Incredible.
It's incredible.
And in a world of short attention spans,
yes,
and just give me a one-line caption, I use up the entire character limit when I'm posting. And people
do read it to the end.
I think it's the most beautiful thing.
And
so thank you if you're following and reading.
And if you're not following, go and follow. But I just want to say thank you. And I'm hoping that this is not the story for us, that we'll come back in another year and have a conversation, because you just joined the board, and also the journey of you being on the board and where we are going as ACT Foundation continues, but also the impact of what you said in terms of your life and what you want to do and what you want to give. And we're hoping that we all will be part of that story as well. Thank you so much for joining us today. Looking forward to having you again.
Thank you.
All right, then. So thank you, everyone, and see you again.
Thank you for listening to ACTPod. For inquiries and feedback, please reach us on actpod@actrustfoundation.org. Follow us on social media at actfoundation_ on Instagram and Twitter, and Aspire Coronation Trust Foundation on Facebook. The show is proudly powered by Aspire Coronation Trust Foundation. ACTPod, our story, our continent.